This is our Scorpio full moon webinar about 22 hours or so before the actual Scorpio full moon, which will take place at 8:16 and 6 seconds, November 10th, PM GMT, 8:16:06 PM. Okay. We will discuss now this very important sign, Scorpio, the sign of discipleship, the sign in which people like ourselves who are attempting to tread the path of discipleship are meant to achieve. Whereas many problems are being worked out by humanity in the sign Libra, it is the sign Scorpio which is most important for the disciple. So we will look here at the Jofra illustration first, and we see important images. Of course, the red scorpion is at the center of the picture, and with his claws he is grasping the dodecahedron, which is an important symbol of the approach to the soul through the heart and through the 12-petaled egoic lotus. There's a very strong connection between Sirius, which is for our purposes, the cosmic Christ, and the sign Scorpio, and entry into the hierarchy through great effort and labor. We see over here in the Scorpio banner that Mars is the exoteric ruler of Scorpio, and Mars is also the esoteric ruler. So it is a sign of great effort, great battle. And finally, we see Mercury in the color yellow as the hierarchical ruler, indicating that we have fought the good fight with Maya, glamour, and illusion, and have overcome, and are now free of that illusion and able to enter the world of pure reason. We see certain images here in the Jofra depiction. Here is the child holding the skull. This is birth and death. The idea of the new and the old, coming into life, leaving life, what we call life on this level. So there is the sense of rebirth here, every death leading to a new opportunity, which we call a rebirth. We have here two chalices. One is containing the elixir, the golden elixir. It is the soul energy, the solar energy, and the other is the chalice of loss. It has fallen, and its contents are empty. And so we can only attain the full golden solar chalice if we are willing to pour out or relinquish much that we tried to hold as a personality. The scene is an arid one. It's occurring in the desert, even though this is a water sign. The disciple comes into many stark circumstances, and relinquishments are necessary. It's a sign of death to many normal pursuits until they can be regrasped from a higher perspective, which is devoid of illusion. Here we have the knight, let us call him St. George. He is slaying the lower dragon. The lower dragon is the assembly of the three powers of the personality. when they are unredeemed. So the soul must first slay the lower dragon in order to redeem it. And Saint George here can be seen as the militant warrior, soul-infused disciple. The yogi is sitting here, cultivating his transcendent powers, and this is a sign in which the latent powers within the vehicles can be cultivated so that they can become those cities which will make the initiate in the world very powerful. Finally, there's an image here of transcendence, the eagle. What begins as the scorpion ascends finally as the eagle, flying towards the higher planes and able to take its place within the spiritual triad, no longer confined to the earth. We have Scorpio particularly active at the first 3 initiations. It tests us in every way through the physical, emotional, and mental levels. And there's no reason to think that it should not be active at the 4th initiation, an initiation of death and rebirth, but active in a different way. So the serpent power is here in Scorpio, and although the serpent sometimes has a bad reputation, it is also a symbol of wisdom and of the serpent power. And the true serpent is the initiate. And so we have here the serpent, in a way, swallowing the skull. This can be considered, in one way, the overcoming of the normal death, death to consciousness. But as well, the elixir of life is brewed, and we can transcend the normal compulsions to reincarnate in this 4th ray sign. We can do that. This is the sign intimately related to the hierarchy of human monads on the Buddhic plane. Now, as always, Francis Donald has provided us with some beautiful images that help us understand Scorpio, I think, from a unique position. Here is the image that was that he created last year. This is, we see the theme of ascension here, and Francis will describe this. And the image which is available this year is very beautiful. It's the image of the phoenix, and it's intricate. Let's see if I can, here's an even bigger image of it. And Francis will describe this in his notes. Again, the idea of ascension is there. So we will look at what Francis has to say about this. Going up here a bit, yes. Okay, and with some very good quotes from the Tibetan. An old commentary passage, he says, describes the experience we see unfolding in ascension. The true ascension, of course, is the 6th initiation, but all of us are ascending through the various initiations, and we are leaving the lower worlds behind in order to become redeemers of those worlds. So we hear from the old commentary, the Ancient One, the personality, dies by drowning, in a way overcome by the astral plane, although death by suffocation is also found in connection with Scorpio. Such is the test. The waters envelop him, and there is no escape. And Francis says here to notice the figure beneath the waters, which I assume is here. Yeah. Okay. There is no escape. All right. Moving on. He drowns. The fires of passion are then quenched. The lower fires are extinguished. The life of desire ceases its appeal, and to the bottom of the lake he now descends. And this can be considered the lake of material life, in which he has this redemptive mission to help others achieve the triumph that he has achieved. Later he reascends to where the white horse awaits his coming, and that is the image of Sagittarius. We have the completely purified personality in Sagittarius. Struggle, strength, and Sagittarian attitudes are developed. The Scorpio individual must encounter everything within the deep pool of the subconscious, which, as Master DK says, can be whipped into a tremendous storm. It carries all of our past experiences, and when these are recollected, it can have, well, either a devastating or at times a liberating effect upon the personality. This passage represents the shift from personality to soul identification, which the Tibetan tells us is the consuming experience, consummating experience of Scorpio. Re-identification is the theme in both images, but if we mentally place the phoenix on top of the ascension, we see that it has an archetypal correspondence to that which it overlays. Now, let's see if I can possibly do this. Well, actually, the phoenix is meant to be placed on top of the image of the upward-oriented disciple. The phoenix on top of the ascension. Okay. The red-clad, drowned figure, which represents the personality, becomes Mars itself, which in Scorpio rules the threefold personality. The moon, or outer form, gives way to the sun here, here shown as the illuminating solar vitality of the phoenix. So we'll look at these two images once again. Here is the image of ascension, and here is the image of the phoenix. We see man on the cross here, and we see the heart as the emphasis. We see the Egyptian figure of the wings, preparing eventually for the fourth initiation. This is the fixed cross, and we will be rising from the fixed cross with our correctly oriented attitude. And here is the phoenix representing a still higher stage of this process. Okay. The upturned hands and gaze of the disciple become an embodied chalice. That's a very important theme when we consider how Francis has drawn the phoenix. Become an embodied chalice, for now the disciple is one with that which he or she receives from the inner wellspring. The fixed cross becomes the trefoil described below. The human form gives way to the geometry of the soul, and the transformative influence of Sirius becomes increasingly dominant, as it does for all soul-oriented individuals as they approach the third initiation and identification as the soul. The disciple's winged heart has ignited the clear, cold fire of mind, and thus, through all these changes, the disciple becomes the phoenix initiate. So it's from this point to this point, the phoenix initiate. I hope you can see these. Okay. Now here, the phoenix is said is best described by another old commentary passage here quoted in part from the Rays and Initiations, and this is the chalice. I think we will find 3 chalices here, and it makes for a very interesting consideration of our development. The lower chalice rises like a flower of color dark or somber. Dull it appears to the outer vision, but within a light will sometimes shine and shatter the illusion, and this will be the etheric light. Chalice the second rises from out the lower sheath, as does the flower from out the calyx green. Now, chalice the first is associated with the third ray in the color green. Chalice the second connected with the astral body, the second and sixth rays. Of color rose it is, and many shades thereof. And to the onlooker it seems as if the color might transcend the inner shining light, as when people say when they are in a state of high emotion that they are in the state of soul, they often say. But this is but an illusion which time itself will dispel. So the astral body, so powerful in our particular case, is overcome and no longer seems the most prominent factor within our nature, the soul takes its place. Chalice the third surmounts all and opens wide in time its outspread petals. It suggests here the egoic lotus. So chalice the third is mental in nature. Blue does it appear and blends with the rose, as the astral body is the source of, is the instrument of expression for the soul. Blue does it appear and blends with the rose, forming at first a deep impenetrable shade which shuts out the light. That's when we have the mental unfoldment without the higher mental unfoldment. So we have Kama and Manas together shutting out the light, but eventually we will see the full chalice of the egoic lotus. Within the three, deep hidden in the heart, tiny at first, yet ever waxing greater, shines the light divine. And here was talking about the inner central fire, which is the jewel in the lotus, which is the true reflection of the monad within the egoic lotus. This light, through radiating heat and innate divine vibration, constructs for itself a sheath of iridescence, and there we will have the completion of the egoic lotus, an iridescent sheath, shining with all of the appropriate colors. Within this iridescent sheath burns the inner flame. This is the reflection of the monad, and in its turn it burns out the lower gross material. This is the action, transmutative action of the soul upon the three lower chalices. E'en as the path is neared, clearer the light shines out. Forth through the chalice, gross and dark, that forms the foundation, shines the light supernal. So here we have the etheric radiation and the halo effect in those great individuals who have been etherically awakened by the higher energies of soul and spirit, till all who see the radiation cry out within themselves, "Behold, a God is here." Forth from the chalice rosy red shines the inner glow, till soon the red of earth, that's the red of Mars, the red of desire, till soon the red of earth desire, becomes the glow of heavenly fire, and all is lost save aspiration that shades not the cup with karmic color. So here we have love pervading the astral vehicle, the astral chalice, and leading to a state of upward tending aspiration, which is no longer karmically generative. Forth from the chalice blue shines and glows the inner light divine, till all the forms are burnt and gone, all the obscurative thought forms are burned and gone, and naught is left save one divine abstraction, which is finally the inner power of the jewel in the lotus within the egoic lotus, which is the reflection of the monad, which is the aspect of ourself, which is the great abstraction. Okay, and notice here in this image that Francis has, that high above, it seems that this star is not arbitrarily aligned, but is significant, perhaps, of the highest spiritual aspect, of which the central fire is the reflection within the jewel and the lotus. Obviously, here we're speaking the language of occultism, and this is one of the most occult of the signs, Scorpio, with its ruler Uranus as the exalted ruler, we might say, in Scorpio. It is the sign when occultism is made practical. So just a little more here. Francis speaks of the geometry and the sacred number, whereas ascension is based on the fixed cross. The underlying construction of the phoenix is an elongated trefoil, as shown here at the left, a symbol of eternity because of its unbroken motion, and of the inherent unity of the three aspects of divinity suggested by the central triangle it forms. So we can see that the three are the one in the trefoil. Structuring the phoenix in its accordance with this geometrical figure allows it to partake of the energy of the trefoil, which the energy of the trefoil represents, which might be described as the ever-unfolding process of assimilating that towards which we all aspire. And I think if we look at this image, we will see how the trefoil is incorporated within it. And we will, here it is, larger. The three are together. And here is the central union of the three. So we've incorporated an occult geometrical symbol as the representation of the phoenix. Okay, the chalice is insinuated by the gesture of the disciple in the ascension and openly incorporated into the design of the phoenix. Well, I think we can see that. Yes, there is this idea of the chalice. It is an anticipation of that which will be a higher spiritual fact when he is identified as the soul on its own plane. And here the chalice is definitely depicted in the phoenix description. Okay. All right. Whereas the first piece suggests the will to align, the second depicts the successful repolarization towards that influence which ultimately originates on Sirius, shown at the top center in both pieces. Yes, well, okay, that little point that I thought was the monad was actually Sirius, but of course the two can be identified. Then the phoenix, ancient Egyptian, whoop, I have to go down here again. All right. Okay. Ancient Egyptian papyri tell us that the Bennu bird, the Egyptian phoenix, burst forth from the heart of Osiris. This is the winged heart coming really at the fourth initiation, thus giving form to Ra, the Egyptian sun god. Through the Book of the Dead, the phoenix says, I am the Bennu bird, the heart soul of Ra. Some of the titles of the Bennu bird were He Who Came into Being by Himself. Of course, this is the self-generated, the self-created. In a way, it's the bird outside of time and space. It is, in fact, the great Hamsa. That is maybe the higher correspondence of the phoenix, Parama Hamsa, the ascending one. Its name was also a verb spelled WBN in the Egyptian text. It means to rise brilliantly. So this is the final, let's call it the fourth initiation, when one ascends to the Buddhic plane. There are later ascensions which it may be able to signify. And here is a bit about the color in these pieces. The transformative theme in both pieces can be traced through the colors used. The earthy reds, the garment of the drowned man and the planet Mars. We'll look at that. Here are the earthy red colors in this preliminary stage. Give way to the tones of rose and electric blue, colors of the sixth ray of devotion, Mars, Scorpio, the exoteric ruler, Eso and Exo, of the sixth ray. The core of each piece radiates yellow-white, representing both solar consciousness and fourth ray Mercury, Scorpio's hierarchical ruler. Okay. So eventually we ascend onto the Buddhic plane ruled by Mercury with its color yellow, where the synthesis occurs, which allows us to see through all illusion. All right, so these are deep matters. And the Tibetan has a few quotations here which you can study as when you receive Francis's image and his notes. Okay. I will arise and go to my Father. Yes. So that shows us the very first image from 2010. I will arise and go to my Father. Okay. And yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Francis, for these. It enriches very much our consideration of the energies we are receiving and attempting to distribute. So you can study these on your own, and I would strongly recommend it. Now, we will go to our meditation with these thoughts in mind. Today, I suppose, is still in a way a day of dedication. In a way, however, the day of safeguarding begins tomorrow around 12 hours before the actual full moon, when we will receive and hold these energies, followed by the days of distribution where we register, express the sense of expectancy, and finally end with the affirmation of belief. Okay, friends, we begin. So, we withdraw our consciousness from the normal personality impressions, from the personality vehicles, and we enter deeply into the presence of the soul. And we feel ourselves established within the soul field of light, love, and power. But that field is a unified field. It is not an isolated field. And we merge ourselves, therefore, identified increasingly as a soul, with a deep sense of the group soul, touching each other, as it were, in soul, realizing our connection with each other in the soul field, not as personalities, but within a unified field in the group soul. And in this way we intuitively unite with the spiritually minded people of the world, the members of the new group of world servers, the men and women of goodwill, not as persons but as fellow souls within the one soul field. Until we find ourselves merging within the one soul of humanity, we know all souls are one. We rid our thoughts of the formulation, my soul and thy soul, and instead we contemplate the one unitive soul, in which we realize naught is but me, in the larger sense, the I of the one soul, naught is but me. Wherever any human being exists in any part of the world, whether living human being or on the subtler planes, in the body or out of the body, one multiplex consciousness, consciousness with many shades of perception, but still one consciousness, and all impressions are as one impression, naught is but me, the one soul, the one omnipresent consciousness, omnipresent on this earth at least, but eventually omnipresent throughout cosmos, eventually. We are focused on the plane of mind, but the plane of mind is illumined by the presence of the soul, so it is the group mind and the group soul And each of us can summon an aspect of the will so that all 7 aspects of soul will can be found, stimulating our mental focus. So from our soul and from the group soul we draw the will to initiate of Ray 1, the will to unify of Ray 2, the will to evolve of Ray 3, the will to harmonize of Ray 4, the will to cause of Ray 5, the will to act rather, and the will to cause of Ray 6, and the will to express of Ray 7. We feel these 7 colors, 7 qualities, and particularly the one that relates to ourselves, and particularly overall the second one, the will to unify. We feel this stimulating our mental focus. We are animated in our mind by the will to unify and the other categories of will, of soul will. We draw up towards this center all the potencies of the group personality, group etheric physical, group astral, drawn up towards the point of mental focus, our point of intention as we build the Antakarana, or reanimate it. We visualize the dual streams of the Antakarana according to our soul ray and personality ray. The stream of dual-colored energy reaching either upward or inward toward the spiritual triad, as it were, bypassing the egoic lotus and touching the mental, Buddhic and atmic permanent atoms and finding its final imaginative anchorage in the spirit itself, in the blue-white diamond of spirit. So according to your hypothesized or known soul and personality ray, you visualize the dual bridge. Red, Ray 1, indigo, Ray 2, green, Ray 3, yellow, Ray 4, orange, Ray 5, rose color, Ray 6, violet, Ray 7, and everyone constructs this visual bridge, either upward cone-like towards the blue-white diamond or inward from the surface of a sphere towards the diamond center of the sphere. We feel the energy of this Antakarana and realize it is a group Antakarana with all the 7 colors, the combination of the rainbow bridges of every meditating group member here, and those who will also be meditating and maybe even are now in anticipation of the coming full moon moment. And across this multicolored rainbow bridge, this cone of multiple light converging upon the spirit, we project vivid line of white light with the words of power. I see the greatest light. I see the greatest light. and we think these words, feel their power as we sound on the second ray note, the Om, sounding and thinking. I see the greatest light. The door to the triad imaginatively opens, the wisdom of the triad, the will, its abstract mind, the presence of the spirit, accessible to the group, which can be impressed by these higher potencies. A group projection, a group impression, the potential for the group impression. And so the worlds of the triad, an expansive, impersonal, inclusive, planetarily inclusive world, is opening to us as a group, bringing to us thoughts that are not strictly personal, not even individual, but planetary in scope. Thoughts, unitive energies, dynamic will, unitive in scope, planetary in scope. And it is as if we are in the presence of that world in which the masters habitually focus their consciousness. The triadal world, where at this time the majority of the ashrams are found, or focused. And we sense the presence, however we want to visualize this or conceive it, of the Lodge of Masters, the Great White Lodge, the Great White Brotherhood. We affirm to ourselves the reality of the Masters of Wisdom, the reality of the hierarchy, and our will to cooperate individually and as a group with that hierarchy in the process of redeeming humanity, however we may play our part in that redemption. And now we offer our salutations, our solidarity with the Masters of the Wisdom. And so inwardly and with heartfelt gratitude, we offer our salutations to the Great Lord, the head of the hierarchy, the Christ, Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all Masters. And to the triangle of masters with whom we most closely work, Salutations to the Master Morya, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations. Salutations to the Master Kutumi, whose ashram is most responsible for the preparation for the reappearance of the Christ. Salutations to the Master Jwal, who provided the blue books for humanity and is preparing aspirants for initiation. Salutations to your own Master as you conceive him to be. Salutations to the entire spiritual hierarchy of our planet. These salutations are an affirmation of our solidarity, our cooperation, our dedication to the ends that the Masters conceive in line with the plan and purpose. Holding a very high point of group tension, we imaginatively raise our thoughts to Shambhala, the center, where the will of God is known, and with deepest reverence and in all humility, we attempt, identified as a group soul, to attune with the presence of Sanat Kumara, focused at the center of Shambhala. And we sound a long, silent Om as we imagine the group and the world soul, all of humanity, the planet, imbued by his energy, a long, inner, silent Om. At this time, and at the time of every full moon, we realize Shambhala as the planetary center, working with the energies of the constellations and planets and the solar energies, working under the law of assembly, gathering the needed energies for distribution on the earth. And we will now enter together the indigo disc. We conceive of the group as a brilliant point of light with qualities of love and power. And it rests above a golden pathway. We feel our solidarity at this point, all of us drawn together at this point. And the golden pathway leads into the sun with a center of indigo blue and indigo sun. And the pathway is drawn toward the sun, and so are we as a point of light upon that golden path. The pathway shortens, shortens, and shortens, and is drawn into the indigo disc, the indigo sphere. And we as a group are now as within the indigo sphere, where we can encounter the consciousness of Master Decay. We imagine his presence, his thought, and as we reach towards an understanding of the planetary ray and zodiacal powers, we imagine that we are assisted by his understanding, by that vast consciousness which he has, as we contemplate the powers that we seek to draw into the group for understanding, assimilation, and distribution. And so we will align with the qualities emanating from the three planetary rulers of Scorpio. Mars, the exoteric ruler, conveying the courage to face the outer opponent in battle, which strengthens our powers through long, long millennia of imagining that the enemy is without. But Mars also as the esoteric ruler, conveying the courage to struggle for the sake of the high ideal, and to confront as well the inner opponent, which takes shape as the dweller on the threshold. A much more valorous, difficult fight, requiring perception of our own psychological nature. And the third ruler, Mercury, the hierarchical ruler, conveying the disillusioning power of Buddhic illumination, allowing us to rise out of the illusions of Maya, glamour, and mental illusion into the clear perception of pure reason, over which Mercury rules. And we will also encounter Pluto, the special ruler in relation to Scorpio, conveying the power to destroy that which binds the inner consciousness to illusion, glamour, and Maya. Pluto as well. The red of Mars, the darker red, then the more brilliant red of Mars, Pluto, the planet of the black power. But that's also the blackness of the spirit and of Shambhala, the upward pointing arrow of death, and also Mercury, the brilliant Buddhic yellow. And so first we will work with Mars in relation to Scorpio. We breathe in the power of this planet as a group. It will strengthen our will to confront that which we conceive to be the outer enemy and to overcome that outer enemy. And there are many outer enemies at first which embody some form of inner enemy that we may not see. As we know of Master Morya, he always encouraged his counselor to bring him the list of his enemies to see whether any worthy name had been added to that list, because one grows in power, skill, strength by confronting that which at first seems to be the enemy. But Mars also turning into the power to confront the enemy within. And there is eventually in every life a fight to the death against all vice and negativity, inner and outer, because they are not separate, until the light of day shines forth, the particular light of Scorpio, and the illumination of all the 18 lower subplanes is achieved, and power over these lower 18 lunar forces. So we breathe in this power of Mars, this valorous, heroic, overcoming power, this courage. And DK said he wished we could all be more courageous. We breathe in the courage, the valor, the heroism of Mars. Perhaps imagining what our outer enemy seems to be, what our inner enemy really is. We open our consciousness until we can absorb as a group this Martian energy, breathing it in. Strengthening ourselves through the first 3 initiations until we can use it with greater power at the 4th initiation, the power to overcome the Hydra. 9 heads symbolized as sex, money, and comfort, fear, hatred, and ambition, pride, separativeness, and cruelty. 3 physical, 3 emotional, 3 mental heads. Somewhere we are fighting the good fight, And whether or not we are born in or under Scorpio, we can use this energy at this time to fight the good fight and to overcome the inner and the outer enemy. Even though that enemy will be revealed to be but ourselves. And so the group absorbs this, and we try to realize the area in the group where the Martian energy can best be used, where the need is. What does the group need, which can be answered by this particular kind of energy? And the group certainly needs valor, it needs zeal, it needs aspiration, it needs the power to overcome that which can rightly be overcome. And we're going to breathe this Martian force forth into the group and into the wider group, conferring these virtues upon all the groups and the individuals within, and we will use the red note C as we do this on the Om. May every individual be strengthened, may every group that serves the light be strengthened. We ponder now upon the power of Pluto in relation to Scorpio to terminate all energy patterns which stultify and suffocate the consciousness, which drown the consciousness. We contemplate the death of death, which is the death to that which impedes consciousness. Pluto never kills the consciousness, as we are told. We seek to kill that which kills the realization of soul within the personal consciousness. We ponder on the sharp shears of Pluto, the scissors severing, for once and for all, the threads of attachment to that which is unreal. The upward pointing arrow of death, visualized in the color black and perhaps highlights of dark red, cutting us free from that which holds the consciousness in prison. Pluto, the liberator through death. And absorbing this energy wisely into the group, breathing it in so that we may have the wisdom to terminate that which needs to be terminated, the wisdom to detach from all that enthralls the consciousness, So we can use this energy, this first ray energy of death, within the field of soul love. And according to the law of repulse, the fourth law of the soul, freeing ourselves from all that hampers our soul expression. So that all that hampers may wither and die, fade away, and soul power and soul virtue be left in its place. So we absorb this energy into the group, not necessarily a pleasant energy, austere, as the Lord Pluto sits upon his jet black throne, seemingly merciless, seemingly pitiless, but not pitiless to the soul, not to the spirit, but only to the confining forms. And where does the group need this Pluto energy, which we are absorbing? Visualize this. Where does the group need it? Perhaps in these very demanding days, when personal values cannot be in the ascendancy, this Plutonic energy is much needed. And we see it being expressed all over the world in combination with Uranus, the base of the spine, the top of the head, expressed by those who will to be free of their slavery. So we will choose the note C sharp, and we will breathe the liberating power of Pluto, the death-dealing power of Pluto, killing that which kills the consciousness. We will breathe this into the aura of the group. Opening the door through detachment to the hierarchy and even to the will of Shambhala. Finally then, we ponder on the power of Mercury in relation to Scorpio, the hierarchical ruler, these two factors together being the energies which, with the fourth ray, condition humanity. Scorpio, the fourth ray, and Mercury, conditioning the struggling kingdom, humanity, struggling towards intuitive understanding, towards identification, towards the ability to see the truth in the light of pure reason. The transcendent light of Buddhi, conveyed by Mercury, Buddhi, pure reason, shining into the scorpionic miasma, known as the dweller on the threshold, not just the individual dweller, but the human dweller, the dweller of humanity and also the dweller of our planet. The light of pure reason, seeing all in love and harmony exactly as it is, unveiled by the triple miasma, Maya, glamour, and illusion, shining into this phantom and devitalizing this phantom through a luminous understanding of the unreality of the phantom dweller, the individual, that of the entire human race, that of the entire planet, the unreality of all that so many people consider to be real, the pure reason of Mercury, the bright yellow color, dispelling this illusion, and later helping others dispel it. As Mercury speeds the group upon the upward way, we breathe deeply this bright yellow Mercury color, the glyph of Mercury, into the group consciousness, into the group energy system. We take it in. We are impressed by it. And we see the need. What is the group need connected with this transcendental energy which dispels illusion? What is the group need? And we breathe forth on the yellow beam this transcendental Mercurian energy of the fourth ray into the group consciousness and energy system, seeing it pervaded by buddhi, by mental illumination, by intuitive impression, eventually by nirvanic realization. We will sound on the note E, the Mercurian note, the Om, seeing this accomplished in the group. We have absorbed Mercury. We have absorbed Pluto. We have absorbed Mars. Our group and the wider groups are enriched by this absorption. And month after month we build in the powers of the zodiac, of the rays, of the astrological energies, with our basis now in planetary absorption, feeling ourselves individually, feeling the group, imbued with the courage of Mars, the rightful death of Pluto, the illumination of Scorpio. We move on to imagine the great solar logos, the God of love, the blue logos, the heart of love within every atom, within every being in the solar system. To the great second ray, Lord, the God of love, wisdom, pouring through all the planets, pouring through Shambhala, pouring through every monad, every soul, every spiritualized personality. The great all-encompassing Solar Logos. We attune, just as we would look at the sun on a sunny day, we attune with the deeper spiritual meaning of this great blue Logos. Finding our heart, the heart in the head, the soul, the monad, energized. One day we will be what they call sons of the sun. We will be servants of the sun. And even now, as monads, we find our home within the sun. So the great solar power coming in, Sirius, the Solar Logos, Scorpio, these related. And we turn our attention now to Scorpio itself. The great constellation, its peculiar quality of light, the light of day. Says the Tibetan, this is the place where three lights meet, the light of form, the light of soul, and the light of life. They meet, they blend, they rise. This evokes thought of the ascension of the phoenix, which Francis illustrated. They meet, they blend, they rise. All the lower miasm is brought into the light of day, and things are seen as they are, with pure reason from the Buddhic perspective. Paramahamsa, the bird flies free. At the fourth initiation, liberated onto the Buddhic plane, flying to the feet of the solar angel, all through this great solar power, occult solar power, the light of day, devoid of illusion. And we get the feel of this energy quality of Scorpio, through which the ray of harmony through conflict is expressed. And the sixth ray of Mars, the first ray of Pluto, the fourth ray of Mercury. The feel of the triumphant nature of Scorpio, not the conquest over us by negativity, no, but our conquest of negativity, of helplessness. We ponder then, visualizing that brilliant constellation of Scorpio. It looks so much like the scorpion. It's a huge constellation vertically. Many powerful stars, including the great supergiant Antares, which is like a constellation unto itself. We visualize this constellation and the energies which pour from it through the sun and to the planets and finally to the sign Scorpio in relation to the earth. Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. We seek to grasp the esoteric meaning, the practical meaning of this for ourselves as individuals, for humanity, at this crucial time when overcoming is needed. Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. Apply this to yourself and to your groups. What is it that you must overcome as a soul within the form? What triumph is needed in your life? What triumph is needed in the life of your group, in the life of humanity? Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. There are so many conquests to be made, depending upon our level of evolution, and ultimately the conquest of illusion in the larger sense, so that true and pure being can be revealed and we be revealed as that. What must we overcome? Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. No one likes to be weak. Humanity is meant to be a triumphant kingdom. The tests are now presenting, and maybe they are presenting to you and to each one of us. Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. This is the time to overcome, and that which we have been meaning to do, but have been too weak to do, this is the time to do it. So decide your obstacle, enter into battle with it, understand it, overcome it, triumph over it. Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. May we become the triumphant disciple. May the group become the triumphant group disciple. May humanity become the triumphant world disciple. Let us be strengthened. And during the next 20 hours or so, as we move to that point of intensity, the Scorpio full moon, we allow this mantram to grow within us. Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. It will take skill in action, much understanding, much perception. It's not just brute force and strong will we're using here. Many are the weapons to be used in this battle, and finally, the weapon of pure reason. So in this alignment, which ultimately comes from the one about whom naught may be said, which passes through and tarries in the great constellation Scorpio, Scorpios really, which involves Sirius, which comes to our solar system, which expresses through Mars, Pluto, and Mercury, which is gathered into Shambhala, fortifying all monads and all souls and all spiritualized personalities through our chakra system, ultimately reaching the base of the spine through Pluto. A great fortification, a great strengthening is occurring. And humanity needs this, and we need this. And in this feeling of strength, individual and group, we visualize the world's situation. So many difficulties. So much evidence of the nine-headed Hydra in full control. Where do we want to direct the sense of the triumph that humanity can achieve? Where will we direct it? Let us choose a target, a location. It can be in the political field, the educational, the financial, the arts, the sciences, the religious field, the magical field. It can be anywhere. Where is it needed most, in your opinion? See the situation and devise for yourself a short mantram which will indicate the victory of the Scorpio energy in relation to this field. And repeat that mantram to yourself as you see the scene changing to a better scene. And as we direct this scorpionic energy to transform this place where the Hydra has too much hold, to solve this problem, we will sound the Om, and inwardly in our mind, as we do so, repeat our mantram of transformation, our mantram of triumph, a short mantram of triumph. We will repeat it as we sound the Om. We will use the fourth ray note of Scorpio. Keep that mantra, build upon it, and see at least one area of human living being redeemed by the Scorpio energy, the keynote of triumph, the keynote of emerging from the battle triumphant. And so, with our alignments in place from the very highest to the lowest, with a keen sense of the group as a group of souls responsive to triadal energy, responsive to the energy of spirit, placed within the group soul and the soul of humanity, with this sense of planetary alignment, we will turn to the great invocation and invoke the light, love, and power, riding on the wings of Scorpio at this time to help with the very necessary triumph over many dangerous forces at this time of human history. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Okay, friends, thank you for joining this preliminary Scorpio webinar meditation. There's some 57 of us at the moment, and thank you for coming from all the different parts of the world. I think you can see Who's there? We have many continents represented. Strengthen your power now. Use the Scorpio mantram and use your own transformative mantram. Use your creative imagination and build this power up till we come to the actual moment of the full moon, 8:16:06 p.m. GMT on November the 10th. And for some, I think in Australia and New Zealand, it will be November the 11th. And we will get these the video and audio of this webinar out to you as soon as we possibly can. With Brett's help, I appreciate Kay's intervention there, keeping me from running a silent movie all the way through this meditation. And I look forward to being with you all in meditation at the exact moment of the full moon. So we'll be seeing you. Have a wonderful meditation and a strong period of distribution following the actual Scorpio full moon.